esteemed elders. I ended up choosing the same Ansaar as Brother Sadiq. So I just wanted to, okay. Alright, okay. Assalamu alaikum. I'd like everyone to take a moment and close their eyes. Think about the first time you fell in love. Think about how excited you used to feel when about to meet your beloved. Think about how your heart used to skip a beat when his or her name was mentioned. You knew in your heart this was true love. Think about how warm and comforted you felt knowing this beloved was in your life. Now please open your eyes. Ask yourself, is this the same kind of love I feel for my Creator? When the adhan is being recited, does my heart sing for joy that I am about to meet my beloved? When Ramadan comes, do I get excited that I'll have 30 days to be at my beloved's mercy? And when Muharram comes, do I feel I want to do anything to be close to my beloved? Essentially, this is the love of Allah. This is the love Allah wants us to have for Him. But how can we achieve this true love? The character I have chosen to speak about today, in my opinion, truly embodies the essence of love. The love he exhibited towards Allah is one we should all strive to emulate. He is Wahhab, and along with him are two inspiring women, his wife, Hania, and his mother, Qamar. Wahhab and Hania, a young Christian couple who had only been married for 10 days, and they embraced Islam after meeting Abu Abdullah, sacrificed all they had to uphold the message of Imam Hussein. Having looked at their life, I found a recurring core theme, and that theme is hub, which is Arabic for love, the most natural of human emotions. As Imam Hussein alayhi salam advanced towards Kufa, he stopped and informed people of the purpose of his journey. Wahhab, his wife Hania, and mother Qamar were all present, and they were captivated by the words of Imam Hussein, by his kindness, his generosity, and his honesty. They immediately decided to join the caravan of Imam Hussein, despite knowing that standing with Imam Hussein meant a brutal death at the hands of the soldiers of Yazid. Wahhab was discussing the situation with his mother on the night of Ashura. He asked her, "Mother, what should I do in this situation?" His mother replied with a question, "How do you feel, my son?" Wahhab replied, "In my opinion, Hussein is on the just path, and it would be cowardly for me to leave the side of a man who is isolated and surrounded by bloodthirsty enemies. For him, this was the right thing to do, to stay with Al-Hussein." On the fateful day of Ashura, Wahhab approached the Imam and asked permission to fight. The Imam resisted. After all, this was an affair of the Muslims, and Wahhab was a Christian. At this point, Wahhab's mother pleaded on her son's behalf and said, "O grandson of the Prophet of Islam, it will be an honor for me if my son fights for you and give their life protecting you." The Imam, he was still reluctant to accept Wahhab as one of his soldiers. And when Wahhab saw this, he did his shahada and accepted the faith of Islam. In the simple dialogue, we see the love present between a mother and her son. How she encourages Wahhab to lay down his life, who finds a sense of contentment of giving her son away to fight for humanity. The second way love was manifested in Wahhab's life was Hania. And because of her recent marriage to Wahhab, she did not agree to her new husband entering the battlefield. She asked Wahhab to take her to Imam Hussein. When she was brought before the Imam, she went towards him and asked him, Ya Aba Abdullah, I have only one request. Ya Aba Abdullah, promise me that I will enter paradise with Wahhab and we will be united with each other. The Imam was so moved by her words that tears flowed from his eyes. He comforted her and reassured her that her wish would be granted. She then told Wahhab to go fight. SubhanAllah, just look at the purity of these people, of how they're seeking, they're living for the hereafter, yearning and seeking for paradise as they know that this world is temporary. Wahhab, he fought valiantly. He entered the battlefield with an ardent desire for martyrdom. An enemy's sword fell on his arm and wounded him. Wahhab's mom picked up a stick and hurried to defend her sub. Wahhab's young wife also saw what had happened, and she too rushed to help him. She arrived at his side to find him lying on the hot desert sand. His wife wanted only to defend him, to defend her husband and play her part in defending the religion. While taking care of her wounded husband, she too was attacked by the enemy troops and was martyred, the only female martyr of Karbala. The only thing that mattered to Hania was that her husband was answering the call of Imam Hussein, and that this was her jihad. Her duty was not to pick up a sword and fight. She supported him for a worthy cause, and Allah made sure she wasn't separated from her beloved, and that she shared in his reward ordained for him. She understood the Imam's message despite having met him briefly, yet her love for the Imam and her faith and the promise he made to her and her desire to see his message continue trumped the love that she had for her husband. And that for me is the beauty of the story. When I think about the woman in the story, had Hania not been a true lover of God, of the most merciful, would she have encouraged her husband to go into the battlefield? The women in the audience today, ask yourselves, how would you feel if your husband were to go fight with the Imam of our time today? Would you be worried about the mortgage, the well-being of your children, where the money will come to sustain you? Or would you be willing to give up your husband, to give up the love of your life for the greater love, and that's the love of your Lord? Hania, a supreme role model for young sisters who supported her husband in the face of death, but for the worthiest of causes. And you think, as Brother Zayn mentioned, of Habib ibn Mazahir, on receiving the letter of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he was debating whether or not to join the Imam at Karbala. And on seeing this, his wife got enraged and told him in no certain terms that if he refused to respond to the call of the Imam, she would go instead of him. Such were the companions of Al-Hussein. And without a doubt, Imam Hussein alayhi salam's position was difficult, yet it was the strength and the silence of Sayyidah Zainab and the widows and orphans of Karbala that ensured the Imam's call of Hal min Nasirin Yansurna resonates loud and clear today as it did 1400 years ago on that fateful day of Ashura. And the life and example of these women crystallizes the figure of the ideal woman in Islam who spoke out for the truth. Their revolutionary patience and forbearance revived the message of Islam and awakened the Ummah. Sisters, we need to understand that we play a pivotal role in society. Our hijab is a shield, and you are the flag bearer of Islam. You are the representative of our Imam, of our living Imam. Will we be able to answer the call of our living Imam? We pay lip service every morning in dua ahead that if death separates us from the time of Imam Mahdi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will raise us from our graves with our swords ready to fight for him and defend him and that if we're alive, we'll respond to his call immediately with labbaik. But is it as easy as we think it is? Would a 10-day-old bride let her husband go and be killed without complaint? Would a mother let her son go with a smile? Paying lip service is easy, but translating those actions into reality is somewhat harder. And the true test of your faith and love for Ahlul Bayt, everything always boils down to love. We would go to all lengths of this earth to accomplish something if it is motivated by love. We often yell out, labbaik, labbaik ya Hussein during Muharram, but are we really here to call? Are we really here for Imam Hussein to answer his call? Would we be willing to leave our children, our spouses, our material goods, our comforts to fight on the plains of Karbala? This is an honest question we all need to ask ourselves. Ponder on it. Salawat.